Hello, friends, and welcome to Adventures in Pixieland. My name's Amy. I'm an ordained minister, and we're in Bible study. We're in the NIV, and we are in the book of Judges, chapter 20. In the previous chapter, we got to hear about a Levite and his concubine that got raped and abused to death all night, so that he wouldn't be raped and abused till death all night. And then he cut her up and sent her to all of the 12 tribes of Israel, which of course got everybody talking. Because why did this person send us body parts? I mean, it's a fairly good question, because minimally we should be worrying about his mental health status. And who is this poor person? Israelites fight the Benjaminites, because that's where the roving band of, rapists were. Then all the Israelites from Dan to Beersheba and from the land of Gilead came out as one man and assembled before the Lord at Mizpah. The leaders of all the people of the tribes of Israel took their places in the assembly of the people of God, 400,000 soldiers armed with swords. The Benjaminites heard that Israelites had gone up to Mizpah. Then the Israelites said, "Tell us how this awful thing happened." So the Levite, the husband of the murdered woman, said, "I and my concubine came to Gibeah in Benjamin to spend the night. During the night, some men of Gibeah came after me and surrounded the house, intending to kill me. They raped my concubine, and she died. I took my concubine, cut her into pieces, and sent one piece to each region of Israel's inheritance, because they committed this lewd and disgraceful act in Israel. Now all you Israelites, speak up and give your verdict." All the people rose as one man, saying, "None of us will go home. No, not one of us will return to his house. But now this is what we'll do to Gibeah. We will go up against it as the lot directs. We will take 10 men out of every 100 from all tribes of Israel, and 100 from every 1,000, and 1,000 from every 10,000, to get provisions for the army. Then when the army arrives at Gibeah in Benjamin, Gibeah in one Hebrew manuscripts, or most Hebrew manuscripts, it's Geba, which is just a variant of it with an AH at the end. It can give them what they deserve for all of the vileness done in Israel. So all the men of Israel got together and united as one man against the city. The tribes of Israel sent men throughout the tribe of Benjamin, saying, "What about this awful crime that was committed among you? Now surrender those wicked men of Gibeah, so that we may put them to death and purge this evil from the land." But the Benjamites would not listen to their fellow Israelites. From their towns they came together at Gibeah to fight against the Israelites. At once the Benjaminites mobilized 26,000 swordmen from their towns, in addition to the 700 chosen men from those living in Gibeah. Among all these soldiers there were 700 chosen men who were left-handed, each of whom could sling a stone and a hair and not miss. Israel, apart from Benjamin, mustered 400,000 swordsmen, all of them fighting men. The Israelites went up to Bethel, or to the house of God, and inquired of God. They said, "Who shall go first to fight against the Benjaminites?" The Lord replied, "Judah shall go first." The next morning the Israelites got up and pitched camp near Gibeah, the men of Israel went out to fight the Benjaminites and took up battle positions against them at Gibeah. The Benjaminites came out at Gibeah and cut down 22,000 Israelites on the battlefield that day. But the men of Israel encouraged one another again and took up their positions where they had stationed themselves the first day. The Israelites went up before the Lord until evening, until they inquired of the Lord. They said, "Shall we go up again in battle against the Benjaminites, our brothers?" The Lord answered, "Go up against them." Then the Israelites drew near Benjamin on the second day. This time, when Benjaminites came out from Gibeah to oppose them, they cut down another 18,000 Israelites, all of them armed with swords. Then the Israelites, all the people, went up to Bethel, and there they sat weeping before the Lord. They fasted that day until evening and presented burnt offerings and fellowship offerings, traditionally called peace offerings, to the Lord. And the Israelites inquired of the Lord in those days. The ark of the covenant of God was there, with Phinehas, son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, ministering before it. They asked, "Shall we go up again to battle with Benjamin our brother or not?" The Lord responded, "Go, for tomorrow I will give them into your hands." Then Israel set an ambush around Gibeah. They went up against the Benjaminites on the third day and took up positions against Gibeah as they had done before. The Benjaminites came out to meet them and were drawn away from the city. They began to inflict casualties on Israelites as before, so that about 30 men fell in open field on the roads, the one leading to Bethel and the other to Gibeah. While the Benjaminites were saying, "We are defeating them as before," the Israelites were saying, "Let's retreat and draw them away from the city to the roads." All the men of Israel moved from their places and took up positions at Baal Tamar, and the Israelites charged out of its place on the west of Gibeah. Now it gives a footnote for west and for, and the Gibeah is just a different variation. Some Septuagint manuscripts in the Vulgate meaning of the Hebrew for this is uncertain, so they don't really know if it's west. The 10,000 of Israel's finest men made a frontal attack on Gibeah. The fighting was so heavy that the Benjaminites did not realize how near disaster was. The Lord defeated Benjamin before Israel, and on that day the Israelites struck down 25,100 Benjaminites, all armed with swords. Then the Benjaminites saw that they were beaten. Now, the men of Israel had given way before Benjamin because they relied on the ambush they set near Gibeah. The men who had been in ambush made a sudden dash into Gibeah, spread out, and put the whole city to the sword. The men of Israel had arranged with ambush that they should send up a great cloud of smoke from the city, and then the men of Israel would turn in battle. The Benjaminites had begun to inflict casualties on the men of Israel, about 30, and they said, "We are defeating them as the first battle." But when the column of smoke began to rise from the city, the Benjaminites turned and saw the smoke of the whole city going up into the sky. The men of Israel turned on them, and the men of Benjamin were terrified because they realized that disaster had come upon them. So they fled before the Israelites in the direction of the desert, but they could not escape the battle. And the men of Israel who came out from the towns cut them down there. They surrounded the Benjaminites, chased them, and easily overran them in the vicinity of Gibeah on the east. 18,000 Benjaminites fell, all of them valiant fighters. As they turned and fled toward the desert to the rock of Rimmon, the Israelites cut down 5,000 men along the roads. They kept pressing after the Benjaminites as far as Gidom, Gidom, and struck down 2,000 more. On that day, 25,000 Benjaminites swordsmen fell, all of them valiant fighters, and 600 men turned and fled into the desert to the rock of Rimmon, where they stayed for 4 months. The men of Israel went back to Benjamin and put all the towns to the sword, including the animals and everything else they found. All the towns they came across, they set on fire. So, I guess they decided to, sort of cut them all down, right? So, or at least there's a lot of them anyway. And in the next video, friends, we will find out what happens to the Benjaminites. Because remember, there were some that were up in the mountains. And we do have one more chapter to the book of Judges. And then we move on to our next book. So, excuse me. So, until the next video, friends.